Welcome, world,
I don't know what you're going
to...
for. Don't you have a catchphase for your show by now?
Oh, man.
How many episodes is this?
Hello, world. What do you think about that?
That's nice. It's
Oh, that's good. That's
blog.
good. Yeah, that's. I didn't even think about that, but that's a good one.
Although it feels like that's really only good for the first episode.
Yeah. What up, players?
Wow. Not just like what up and then city that you're in.
Hello, San Francisco.
Very nice.
Is that good?
That's great.
All right. Yeah. This is my buddy Bill Watt. He and I work together at GoDaddy.
Yep.
And now Bill works at TalentBin.
Yes.
Where your logo is a unicorn.
A purple squirrel riding the unicorn.
Okay. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So it's one of the things in the hiring kind of community, of unicorns, and then purple squirrels are like the perfect developer with the right education, the right skills, all that kind of stuff.
So you work at TalentBin.
Yep.
And you do what there? What gives you credibility?
I am the general manager of TalentBin. So I run sales, support, and engineering.
Okay.
So basically the whole thing.
Why don't you tell me about a lesson you learned through horseback riding?
Oh, yeah. So when I started horseback riding, I was 40, and I call my parents and I tell them, hey, I'm going to start horseback riding. And they're like, it's going to hurt a lot if you come off, right? Like, you're not 18 anymore. You probably should have picked this up when you were younger. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I go out riding one day, and the horse I was riding had this habit of tripping because he wanted the people to slow down because he really didn't want to work very hard. And so one time we're going downhill, and he trips, but because we're going downhill, I thought he was going over, and I thought I was about to get rolled on by a horse. So I basically tucked, rolled, and was fine, but kind of hurt the left side of my body. Meanwhile, the horse was not going over, was just faking to try and slow me down. The guy who's giving me my lesson turns around and goes, you okay? You think that's the last time you're going to come off a horse? Get back in the saddle. And so the thing I learned then is way easier just to stay in the saddle. I think in a lot of ways, it's pretty good advice in that, like, when you feel like stuff is a little out of control and you just want to bail quickly, sometimes you just hang on, ride it through, and
what's the reason to persevere?
I mean,
like, what happened at the end of
first off, I never hate life when I'm riding horses.
Okay.
And so if you just extrapolate that out, like, horses are going to, like, they're bikes with a brain. And so, by staying on and learning not to just kind of panic like a new rider, like I was, then the horse learns to respect me. I do better. We do longer rides. Like, I've been on many horses since then that have tried to buck me off and other things, and you just learn to ride it.
So it sounds like there are a couple of things there. One is do something that you love.
Oh, yeah.
And two is if you do something you love, you don't really mind the bruises. And three is if you do something you love and you get the bruises, you know what's coming and you know what to expect the next time you have to deal with a new situation. Yep. And then it really doesn't matter because you know what good is on the other side.
Absolutely.
In one sentence, I want you to tell me what the big lesson, big takeaway, something that somebody can bring into their life. In one sentence, I want you to tell me what that piece of advice is from riding horses.
If there are things that you really want to do, it doesn't matter that you haven't done it before. It doesn't matter that you're 40. It doesn't matter that whatever. Like, it's about today. So go out and do the thing that you think you want to do today. Don't be afraid of what anybody else tells you.
How do you know when you're at that point where you can say, listen, I understand all of the stuff that's going on. I understand my job and my role in the world, and I believe at this point I can make demands, or I can say I'm going to do this, and it might be controversial. People might think I'm crazy, but I know at this point that I can do this.
So it's funny.
How do you know?
A couple years ago, I would have said, well, people will offer you that promotion, or they'll tell you now is the time. Why don't you try doing this? Honestly, what I've learned in probably the last 5-10 years is just try. Like, see what people will let you do. Early on in my career, I did sales, and what I've learned is the person who asks tends to get. So don't wait. If you think that you want to be awesome at something, or you think you already are awesome at something, just go do it. And people will generally let you, and then you'll figure out if you're good or not. And if you're not, then you just have to practice more.
Interesting. So you test.
Yeah.
And
just try. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. And that's the same in business as it is in a corporate job, as it is in a hobby or a volunteering opportunity. There's no harm in just asking.
Well, especially like small business, is someone knocking on your door and saying, hey, I need that flower shop? Or are you thinking, man, I want to run a flower shop. I don't see a lot of flower shops. Maybe now's a good time. Yeah. And then you just go and try your hand at a flower shop.
So you just try it.
Yeah.
Kind of as you're talking about that kind of reminds me of finding the job that you love. Sometimes at 40, sometimes, at 20, when you've been doing the same thing your entire life, you are scared to risk things. You're scared to lose your current job or your relationships or whatever. But you might really want to do something else, or you really might want to, have your own flower store instead of programming.
Absolutely.
And I think my takeaway is you should do whatever it is that you think will truly make you happy, and don't worry about the risks, because if you follow that truth, then only good things can come. Well, hey, thanks for being the first guest on the world's most viewed weekly advice column
about Mendel. Do we do some type of cheesy handshake now to end the podcast?
That'd be weird. No, that's weird.
And then just freeze it?
I mean, we could.